But people will still be using other chains, and that's where our partnership with HOUDINI again comes into play. And their cross-chain technology is what we're going to be kind of dipping our toes into, because that is where HO thrives, allowing different chains to integrate into HO, and HO Suite allowing that with our, with me, Houdini, and Zero, with our focus on DeFi and decentralization. We want to bring mass adoption and tech together, because it will help the community thrive.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for us personally, so wincondition.com, for anybody who doesn't know, is an NFT marketplace that is launching on Hedera very shortly. And what makes us different, our USP if you like, is that it's a curated website. So there are only two, it's not elitist or anything like that, but there are two barriers to entry, and those two barriers to entry are, it can't be deemed offensive by any reasonable person, and it has to be original, so you can't steal other people's IP, which I think are two pretty good metrics to have for anyone who's looking to sell anything. And it came about because I own another company called Utopian Lab, and we advise large companies and individuals, talented individuals, with how to monetize their assets through digitalization, and what the pitfalls are. So we are, I know it's a cliche, everybody says it, but we really are incredibly early. So early that some people deem me an expert, which is ridiculous. And they call me into these big companies, and I'm sat there, usually with 12 middle-aged white dudes, and they're going, what's Bitcoin? And so I start with DigiCash and then Bitcoin, and I literally have to explain all the way through Ethereum, Ethereum 2.0, and then we get to Hedera and why it's different. Because what's key to a lot of these large brands, so one of our clients, for example, turned over $13.8 billion last year in their core business. So they recognize, believe me, these companies haven't got this big by being stupid. They recognize the opportunity, but they're in no rush to embarrass themselves. And they're incredibly scared of people coming into their place of business, their retail shop, their garage, whatever it might be, and superdoing themselves and stuff. And that's a good thing, by the way, for the earth. So they get that this isn't going anywhere, it's not a flash in the pan, they understand the opportunity, they understand the margins are potentially massive, and it's genuinely a new way to engage with their customers that hasn't been possible before. And so the problem is the technology. But then when I explain Hedera, they get it 100%. It's like the minute they understand the difference, how efficient Hedera is, they're like, okay, great. But that's only half the battle, because when you're dealing with large enterprises and businesses, the tech is great, fine, but where's the outlet? Okay, so we understand now that we need to be doing this and not doing that. We understand this and this and this. We understand what utility we might have to offer, if any, and we get all that. But where are these actually going to be sold? So there was a gap, in my opinion, across all crypto, for there's a safe place for large companies and brands to sell their items, where they're not going to see their precious brand next to an imitation. And the consumer can't tell the difference between the official stuff and the fake, in their term, fake or stolen IP versions of, or their precious brands or product next to a Pepe frog. It's just a non-starter. And when you're turning over $14 billion a year, making $2 net profit, you don't need to rush and do anything. So that's kind of what we're trying to answer. And I think it's a good thing for all communities, because the tide rises all boats. So if we can bring fans of really decent creators and celebrities and that sort of thing, they come in to collect their fans, their idols there, but then they see you guys too, and then they're hooked, and then they're in. Because everybody in this room came to Hedera through one door. It wasn't you discovered everything at once, you came in through one door, and then you discovered the community and the people, and then you stayed for that. So that's what we're hoping to do on scale.
It's a beautiful way to describe the Bitcoin. Corporate wants to come in, they see the value, they see the value of Hedera and the blockchain. When they get here, they're going to need the people. And the NFT projects, the Returnals, others like it, Zero, Love. Zero and Love have 10,000 holders just together. They're two of the top 10 tokens in Hedera. So when adoption comes, when institutions come, they're going to look to the projects that have the people, and that's the value. So, well said, guys.
Yeah, thank you very much. So, and I think, so for us personally, we will look at the change, of course, because we want to engage with those communities too. But that's not really the way we set ourselves out, because there are what, 10, 15, 20, 30,000 active wallets, active being a wallet on Hedera that has an NFT or HBAR in it and has done something in the last month. So there's been some movement. It's not just sat there holding HBAR. That's what's considered an active wallet, and there's 30,000. One of our clients has got 7 million active customers. So are we going to tailor this to cater it to the 30,000 active wallets that we love very much? Or are we going to tailor this to a more experience that the 7 million people that we want to bring in, that's just one of our clients, want to bring into this community? So how you present yourself is very important if you're looking to scale. Do you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think for most companies, the majority of their business is done off-chain, right? And so I think we got to think about how we get the larger portion of their economies onto platforms like Hedera or any ecosystem really where they're able to offer this kind of digital access and utility to their communities. Because I think right now it's really hard for them to do it. Like you said, no one's in a rush to make a fool of themselves, and brand safety really counts. My background, prior to Bloxy was in ad tech and working with large companies. Like the last thing they want to do is have their brand next to something that they don't approve of, or that their customers are going to be triggered by, or something like that. And so, like for us at Bloxy, we allow anyone to get engagement widgets, including a white label marketplace, where you can come into our dashboard, create NFTs, whichever chain you like, and then publish them to your own website, right? So it's a trusted domain. You're able to control that supply channel a lot better. And for us, we think it becomes a kind of natural solution to cookies and cookie tracking as things with iOS 14 get phased out. So that brands can really understand, okay, who's coming to our site, who's collecting, who's engaging, and then how does that relate to our actual conversion rate and where we see a return on investment from our customers. And if they can use NFTs to bridge that gap with an engagement tool or as a data tracking mechanism that also lets everyone feel good about having a little piece of that company, I think that's a big win.
Yeah, and one thing I would say to people who are building on Hedera or considering building on Hedera is to not get bogged down or obsessed with the technology, because we all understand here in this room how fantastic the technology is, but please believe me that nobody else cares. And the reason nobody else cares, and the reason you don't care about other products, and I'll give you an example in a second, is because Hedera is the layer 1, but your customers are customers of you, and you're the layer 2. So Hedera is the technology, and then you're building a project, an art project, a book, a wallet, whatever it might be. But you're layer 2 on Hedera, and your customers are interested in what you're doing. So to give you an example, everybody here knows Harry Potter. But did J.K. Rowling write Harry Potter on an Apple Mac or a PC? Nobody knows, nobody cares, because you're a layer 3. All you care about is J.K. Rowling. You don't care about who J.K. Rowling cares about. She will only work with Apple. She loves Apple, and she's a massive fan of Apple. Apple. But as a J.K. Rowling fan, I don't care. I don't care about Apple and but Apple. And that's how you've got to keep that context in mind, because people genuinely don't care. They just want to buy the art thing. So if you're going to go into meetings with Web 2 businesses, investors, and that kind of thing, of course, depending on the meeting, the technology is important because it shows that it's scalable, as I said, and you're not going to get people super gluing themselves. But don't have your H barbarian tattoo on shirt. Just cover it up, and it makes things a lot easier when you aren't. It's almost like you have this technology, so you've got to build a business for the sake of it. No, you've got a great business, you've got a great solution. It just so happens to be built on great technology. But nobody cares what J.K. Rowling put in a typewriter for you.
I think just on that note real quick, I mean, most products and services that we consume that we think valuable, the technology that have powered those things have changed consistently through the last 100, 200, 300, 500 years, right? That's just kind of how we view things get better. But the actual inherent value of the things we value, the experiences we value, really don't. Music, art, these things have been around for thousands of years. It's just this is a new platform and channel to kind of engage with, and the technology is young, so there's going to be a lot of friction that we've got to kind of work through.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got circa 10 minutes left. Has anybody in the audience got any questions that they want to ask myself or guys? While I'm thinking about it. Yes.
Has anyone on the stage been thinking about AI training on creative work and how blockchain and AI can work together to support artists and tokenization
speak to that a little bit. As an artist that uses AI quite a bit, there's a lot of flack on artists using AI initially. There's still a lot of flack about it. I think I've always seen it as a tool set of material. You know, started off with dirt, with art material, we got paint, printed stuff, mixed media. We started using garbage and whatever we could. AI is just the new thing of that. 3D is the previous coolest thing. That's how I feel about it.
There's a project, this hasn't been announced yet, but I'm working with an AI artist named Wes. Maybe you guys have heard of him. Cybernetics.
Yeah, that's cybernetic arts.
Yeah, he's a great artist, and we're going to have him create a AI generated collection, but the AI is going to be animated. So we'll be able to actually have that animation possibly in AR or VR mode in our wallets as well. But yeah, AI is changing now. It's actually being adopted by more people. I wasn't a fan of AI before AI art. Now I am. I'm actually, and that collection has actually become visible, a trading card game for dragons.
And there's also a movement for machine learning in DeFi and trading, of course. So that's a big part of the effort as well.
Yeah, just kind of echoing the machine learning opportunity, I think that's really huge. Although it's more of a roadmap item for us right now as we scale, but I think there's being chain agnostic gives certain advantages to be able to understand like what are the art or aesthetic trends happening in a broader community, right? And then be able to give that inference to individual projects within the ecosystem. So, for instance, if you want to know, what's trending in abstract expressionism versus pop art versus a certain category that's using art for that genre, you can start to see, oh, well, these NFTs with this color palette or this type of character trait or something like that is trending higher and converting better on websites. And so we can start to give inference on things like that. And I think that at scale, as adoption goes up, this is really where we think scalability is really a key part of our adoption, is being able to get really interesting insights on like how people are engaging with these visual assets. And I think machine learning has a really huge opportunity there.
I do agree with you guys, but I actually think if I could and I was in control, I'd press a button to pause AI, because I think it is potentially one of the largest threats to humanity. It's actually really scary, and it's actually been described by people I respect. I don't know enough yet to really make a video about it on the YouTube, but I am deep diving AI because I am seriously nervous for all of us.
I'd love to help you with that video and educate your perspective of it.
Thank you, yeah. So, there were two guys who developed an AI project very early days. And they developed it so that it could answer messages on a website, and they would sell it to people, they sold it into a website builder. So you go on there and you want an auto message. So the AI, basically, its only job is to answer questions. It knows your product, it knows your store. You go on there and you say, do you have this code that large? What's your return policy, etc. The AI reads the message and gives you an answer. About 9 months of this being live, somebody asked it a question in Portuguese, and it answered in Portuguese. The problem with that was that the guys who'd written the program hadn't taught it Portuguese. They also hadn't taught it to learn any languages, and hadn't told it to. Worse than that, they didn't know it could speak Portuguese. So they went back and looked through the code base, and they could actually see the moment it learned Portuguese. They don't know how, they don't know why, this computer learns another language. And they knew to utilize it. So then the next question is, what else does it know that we don't know it knows? And the really scary thing about AI is that, to me, from what I've seen so far, and I'm at the moment I'm done a negative alcohol, and of course there are many applications. My 11-year-old son can give you a big speech on the benefits of AI. But the downsides need to be understood, and we are onboarding millions and tens of millions of people that are feeding this animal, and we're nowhere near fully understanding its capabilities or implications yet. So I'm really nervous about AI. And just remember this, that when the nuclear bomb was invented, it changed everything. It's a panic killer. But nuclear bombs don't make other nuclear bombs better. AI makes AI better. So, that's
very accurate.
To me, that's scary. You're right, okay. So if you're learning more about it, it's amazing. I don't know if you saw The Social Dilemma. Those guys who did Social Dilemma, if you go on YouTube and type in the AI dilemma, they've done the AI dilemma. It's amazingly as well. So I don't know if that's what you're expecting. Yes?
I have a question/comment regarding art and AI in general. I'm very immersed in the book community where there's a lot of artists with special editions, where there's a lot of negativity to a point where there's intolerance of any kind of art that's AI generated. And artists who are very talented and very well respected in the space are very vocal about that. So, and as a result, very big publishers and big name authors that are basically instant buy for millions and millions of people all around the world have come out to say that they do not support AI and that they will not ever use it in their books, to a point where they have stopped and recalled books that have included aspects of AI generated art within the bigger piece of art and refunding those orders. So how are you going to bridge that gap?
I've spoken to this before. I have a reference or a couple. When Stravinsky first played his concerto, people ran out of the theater in terror. And then when the first movie played and the train came towards the screen, people ran out of the theater in terror. Those technologies were disruptive and scary, and they were used for ill intent as well. But over time, there's two sides to the use, right? There's good actors and mediocre actors and bad actors, all using the same technology for their own goals. So again, it's the humanity of the people that will drive the end effect of the technology.
I do agree with that point. I do think that though it's slightly,
This is a little bigger.
Yeah. We're going to talk quantum later, but I think there's a massive difference between, you can't really compare people being scared of the train with cinema, which is the famous story, and AI. Because AI, like the nuclear bomb is the nuclear bomb. That's not people misunderstanding what it is, or being scared of new technology in general. Like the nuclear bomb, you should be scared of it, because it is a scary thing, and AI is.
And we are scared of it, and we've effectively stopped using it as a society, which is a good sign. But you're right.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
I was just thing on that comment too. I mean, I think specifically in arts and like the kind of communities we're talking about, I think there's a certain appreciation for physical objects, physical experiences. Like even the community has to be quantified in some kind of experiential way. And so AI, like yes, you have generative things and things that are much more easily created, but I think there is going to be some value to the human made objects, and in arts that's what I'm very heavily invested in. You know, I'm a painter, I make paintings, I think actual things you can take home with you. If you can then use things like AI to create digital renderings of that, or expand the way that I can get people into the ecosystem of that aesthetic, for me that's a win, because as an artist I don't have to leverage that much more labor, but I can actually expand kind of where my creativity goes and how people engage with it. And so I think that's those little incremental things in terms of how I engage or how I create these things into the world, put them into the world, that's interesting for me, but I'm still very rooted in making physical things that have nothing to do with machines or AI or anything like that.
So if I comment on that, then for you personally, do you distinguish, is there a difference in value for you between an AI-generated digital art and a person-generated digital art?
I don't make generative art, I make art. That's like the difference for me. I mean, I think for the people who are using generative art and feeding it, you know, I think like it just depends on how much they've refined that learning model, or are they just going on to like the journey and, you know, typing in a single prompt, or is it really informed on like things that they've developed as an aesthetic language, right? I think there's going to be nuance in terms of that. I don't think it's going to be that declarative, like this is good, this is bad art, this is valid, this is not. I think it's really like we mentioned, it's a tool that artists can use, and if it lends itself to the concept or the thinking behind the type of work that you want to make, great. Digital art has existed before AI, and it surely will after, right? If I want to make a physical object, it doesn't necessarily have to do with anything AI-driven conceptually. It may not be the material that I'm looking for that artwork. You know, and I think that's why I differentiate.
I wouldn't disagree with that. I have a hot take. Art is worthless. The value of art is driven by the artist traditionally.
Okay, guys, we're at the bottom of the hour. Do you want to just quickly tell people how to reach out, whether they can follow, how they can get involved?
Sure, yeah. So I'm with Foxy.co.
you very much.
The Returnals on X, we're just the Returnals, and that's the only link we actually have. We have a Discord and just secondary markets that you can check out.
Okay, thanks ever so much, guys.
Thank you.